It's been a hot minute since we last checked in on our favorite skyscraper-smashing duo, Godzilla and Kong, and surprise surprise, the MonsterVerse hasn't been napping this whole time. In fact, the franchise is bulking up faster than The Rock before a Fast and Furious cameo. Several new projects are in development at once. Just recently, Toho dropped a teaser for the sequel to the Oscar-winning Godzilla Minus 1, and it already hints at a new storyline and a possible big bad lurking in the shadows. Meanwhile, the second season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters is gearing up for release, and Godzilla x Kong accidentally spilled the beans on its own plot. So yeah, there's chaos brewing, and we're about to dive right into it. Let's start with Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Filming wrapped back in spring, but the official release date is still being guarded like top secret Titan intel. Chances are we won't see it before the first half of next year. Originally, the plan was to drop it this November, just like the first season, but apparently the CGI wizards are still busy turning pixels into kaiju magic. To be fair, Monarch didn't exactly set the world on fire, but it held its ground. The show pulled in a solid audience and, more importantly, proved there's still fuel in the MonsterVerse engine. The first season ended right around the events of Godzilla King of the Monsters, but thanks to all those timeline jumps, season 2 could go literally anywhere, past, future, or full-on multiverse meltdown. And here's the fun part. This time, Kong takes center stage. Yep, the big fuzzy skyscraper slapper himself. The first season focused on Godzilla, so it's only fair that Ape gets his turn in the spotlight. What makes this show interesting though isn't the fights, it's how it fills in the lore gaps between the movies, adding new layers to the overall story. For example, when fans saw the subtitle of the upcoming movie, they realized Monarch had already dropped a sneaky clue about the villain. Remember episode 4? Dr. Barnes called headquarters and mentioned similarities between black hole energy and the Hollow Earth portals. Well, guess what? The next film is called Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire Supernova, which kinda screams, hey, our new villain runs on cosmic energy. Or maybe, surprise, he's from space. And since Monarch's map only shows about 5% of all known portals, there's plenty of room for some alien beastie to crash the party through one of the other 95. That's the beauty of Monarch. It gives us tiny details that make the MonsterVerse feel bigger, older, and a bit more terrifying. So yeah, we're waiting for season 2 to drop before Supernova lands, because clearly the monsters are just getting warmed up. Now let's talk about Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire, because the leaks and theories around this one are multiplying faster than fan edits on Reddit. Recently, a crew member from the film's production dropped a behind-the-scenes photo, and eagle-eyed fans noticed something wild in the background, the outline of a winged, four-legged creature with lightning sparks behind it. Yeah, that's right, people think it's the Griffin. For the uninitiated, the Griffin is a mythical kaiju that was supposed to appear as Godzilla's main nemesis in a cancelled 1996 movie. That film never made it past pre-production, but the full script leaked online ages ago, and fans have treated it like the Dead Sea Scrolls of monster lore ever since. In that lost script, Godzilla was more of an anti-hero, read angry nuclear lizard with boundary issues, while the Griffin was designed to be his ultimate threat, a flying beast with the body of a puma, massive claws, and razor-sharp hooves. The twist? He was actually a bioweapon created by aliens to wipe out all life on Earth, because apparently humans destroying the planet wasn't moving fast enough. According to the story, the Griffin arrived inside a meteorite, absorbed the DNA of local animals, and morphed into his final Frankenstein's Pokemon form. Oh, and he could shoot lightning from his wings, because of course he could. Basically, think King Ghidorah's edgy cousin who listens to metal and doesn't get invited to family reunions. The photo was taken in Utah, and that's no coincidence. In the original script, the meteorite carrying the Griffin also crashed in Utah. So if this shot was intentional, it might be the sneakiest wink to fans in MonsterVerse history. That connection between a meteorite arrival and the Supernova subtitle fits almost too perfectly. Space villain, cosmic energy, check and check. Some fans think the Griffin might even belong to the same alien species as King Ghidorah, which would explain their similar anatomy and energy-based attacks. Others, however, are betting on something even bigger, the return of Space Godzilla. Yeah, you heard that right, the cosmic clone of Godzilla himself. Space Godzilla was basically Godzilla on steroids, bigger, meaner, and accessorized with massive shoulder crystals that could fire beams of pure energy. Oh, and he had telekinesis, because apparently the writers thought, you know what would make Godzilla scarier? Jedi powers. Lore-wise, Space Godzilla was created when Godzilla's cells drifted into space after previous Titan battles and got sucked into a black hole, mutating into an evil doppelganger juiced up by cosmic radiation. Since the Supernova subtitle clearly screams space threat incoming, it's easy to see why people are connecting the dots. But here's the thing, we've already had Mechagodzilla, dropping another Godzilla variant right after might feel a little Control-C, Control-Kaiju. That's why many fans are leaning toward the Griffin theory. It's fresh, it ties into the cosmic theme, and it's been teased since the 90s. Of course, we won't know for sure until the first story trailer drops, and even then, you know they're gonna hide half the Titans until the premiere. Gotta keep that box office hype monster fed. Oh, and mark your calendars. Godzilla x Kong The New Empire Supernova is set to hit theaters in March 2027. So yeah, buckle up. We've got about a year and a half before the next round of kaiju therapy begins. The Hollywood Godzilla isn't the only one wrecking cities these days. Let's not forget about the Japanese side of the MonsterVerse, the one that actually walked away with an Oscar and did it on a budget smaller than what Hollywood spends on coffee for extras. 2 years ago, Toho Studios went back to the roots with Godzilla Minus, directed by Takashi Yamazaki. It wasn't part of the Warner Bros. MonsterVerse. No, this was a standalone Japanese story set right after World War II, where Japan was still trying to figure out which end of the stick was up, and then a radioactive lizard showed up to make things so much worse. Now, Toho just dropped a short teaser for the sequel, barely a few seconds long, showing only the title, Godzilla Minus. And at first glance, that might sound like they just ran out of math symbols to use. But as always, the fandom instantly turned into forensic analysts, dissecting every pixel and decimal like it was a NASA photo of Mars. The original production team is back, which means the sequel's creative direction will stay consistent, and apparently, so will its obsession with math jokes. See, -0 doesn't actually exist in normal math. You can't have a -0. 0 is just 0. But in computer science, -0 is a thing. It represents a value that's technically below 0, but was rounded up. It's still negative, just barely. Keep that in mind, and the new title starts to make sense. The first movie used -1 to symbolize Japan's state after World War II, completely devastated, morally and physically below rock bottom. Godzilla's arrival only dragged the country deeper into chaos, like a cosmic, yeah, things can always get worse moment. So now, -0 could mean the opposite. Japan is still struggling, but starting to climb out of the hole. It's a story of slow recovery, not sunshine and rainbows yet, but at least there's a glimmer of light between all the rubble and existential dread. In that sense, the title's clever, not -2 to imply total collapse, but -0, hinting that things are inching back towards stability, even if the trauma is still fresh. We don't yet know exactly how much time will have passed between the two films, but judging by the tone of the teaser, it's likely just a small time skip, enough for scars to fade a little, but not nearly enough for Tokyo to stop having PTSD every time the ocean bubbles. The title Godzilla Minus might not just be math nerd bait, it could also be a straight up tease that King Ghidorah is coming back. Yeah, the three-headed golden dragon of destruction might finally make his grand re-entry. Director Takashi Yamazaki has already hinted that the sequel will feature other classic kaijus, and honestly, there's no bigger flex than bringing back Ghidorah, the monster equivalent of an endgame boss fight. Over the past 60 years, Ghidorah's picked up more nicknames than a professional wrestler. One of them? Monster Zero. So the -0 subtitle suddenly makes perfect sense. It's practically a glowing neon sign screaming, hey, it's Ghidorah time, baby. After his Hollywood comeback in Godzilla King of the Monsters, most casual fans know Ghidorah as the alien space dragon sent to obliterate Earth, like if Elon Musk's Starlink turned evil. But in some later Japanese versions, he's been portrayed as a guardian of another dimension, not just an intergalactic jerk. Which direction Toho will take him this time is anyone's guess. Though, given their grounded tone, it'll probably be less space god of chaos, more ancient myth that won't stay buried. Meanwhile, insiders are whispering about another untitled kaiju project in development, reportedly set somewhere in Southeast Asia. Nobody knows yet whether it's connected to the Hollywood MonsterVerse or the Japanese one, but the fact that both branches of the franchise are expanding at the same time means one thing: the monster business is booming. And it's not just the movies or the shows, the comics are going full throttle too. In a recent storyline, Godzilla straight up died. Yeah, the King of Monsters got nuked again, but of course death didn't stick, plot armor level 9000. Soon after, he was resurrected and powered up by a new mysterious force called Kaisei Energy, transforming into what fans are calling Ultra Instinct Godzilla. The creators even compared it to Gandalf's glow-up, you know, from the gray to the white, except with more atomic breath and fewer hobbits. Now, whether this overpowered version ever makes it to the big screen is unknown, though to be fair, Godzilla x Kong The New Empire canon already played with a similar concept when our scaly boy absorbed Titan energy to level up. Either way, the MonsterVerse and Toho's own universe are both thriving. Movies, series, global comic arcs, and new projects on multiple fronts. It's a kaiju buffet, and we're all invited. Sure, one day the creative well might dry up and we'll start hearing the dreaded words, reboot time, but that day's still far away. For now, the monsters are stomping strong, and the only real question left is, did Godzilla Minus 1 blow your radioactive socks off, or do you still think Hollywood's big budget chaos tops everything Toho can cook up? And most importantly, who's the next villain? Space Godzilla 2.0? Ghidorah's cosmic cousin? Or maybe Toho is about to drop a twist so wild it'll melt the internet faster than Godzilla melts tanks?